The Galactic Hunter Academy's Grand Hall was a cathedral of conquest, vaulted ceilings carved from asteroid rock, walls lined with the mounted trophies of 1,000 species, and at the center, a holographic display that rotated slowly, showing every ranked hunter in the known galaxy. Commander Zarek Thorn stood beneath it, arms folded behind his back, surveying the new batch of candidates with the practiced eye of someone who had seen 3 centuries of hunters come and go. He was Vorthari, tall, silver-skinned, with 4 eyes arranged symmetrically across a wide, flat face. He had trained Keth warriors, Draxian shapeshifters, and even one legendary Saluvian who hunted in complete silence. He had seen everything. Or so he believed. The new intake lined up in rows. 43 candidates from 31 different worlds. Thorn paced slowly down the line, studying each one. A Krelian with 6 arms. Twin Muvari sisters bonded through shared neural tissue. A hulking Gorvok whose footsteps made the stone floor tremble. And then, at the far end of the last row, a single human. Thorn stopped. The human was not particularly large. Not particularly armored. He wore simple field clothes, worn tactical pants, boots scuffed from real use, a jacket with too many pockets. He had dark hair, an easy posture, and the kind of calm in his eyes that Thorn usually only saw in hunters who had already survived things that should have killed them. The commander pulled up his datapad and read the file. Ethan Cross. Human. Age, 29 standard years. Home planet, Earth. Thorn glanced at the human, then back at the file. Then back at the human. Cross, he said flatly. That's me, the human replied. You understand this is the Galactic Hunter Academy. We train hunters for Apex class prey. The dropout rate is 63%. Of those who graduate, 40% do not survive their first solo contract. I read the brochure, Ethan said. Thorn narrowed 2 of his 4 eyes. Your species has only been part of the Galactic Compact for 11 years. You have no tradition in competitive hunting. No ancestral lineage of predator combat. Your world is not even listed in the hunter registry. He said it as a statement. Final. Almost dismissive. Ethan tilted his head slightly. Pull up your planetary threat index, he said. The one that classifies worlds by environmental lethality to unshielded life. Thorn frowned but tapped his datapad. The holographic display above the hall shifted, bringing up the Galactic Threat Classification Index, a color-coded map of every catalogued world, ranked from green to deep crimson based on how dangerous the environment was to baseline organic life. Most inhabited worlds sat in the green to yellow range. Peaceful biospheres. Manageable predators. Stable weather systems. The Vorthari homeworld was a comfortable blue. The human scrolled the index himself, somehow he had access to the live terminal from his wrist device, and zoomed in on a small blue-green planet in an unremarkable solar system, 3rd from a yellow dwarf star. It glowed deep, burning crimson. Beside it, a single word in galactic standard. Deathworld. The hall went quiet. 42 alien candidates stared at the display. A few of the Krelians shifted uncomfortably. The Gorvok made a low sound that translated roughly as I did not know that. Thorn stared at the display for a long moment. Then at the human. That is your homeworld. That's my homeworld, Ethan confirmed. His voice was completely even. Not boasting. Just stating fact, the way someone would confirm their own name. The classification requires, Thorn checked the index parameters. A minimum of 47 independent lethal threat vectors to unshielded life. Your world has over 200 documented, Ethan said. Give or take. We find new ones occasionally. Silence. You live there, said one of the Muvari sisters, her voice edged with genuine disbelief. You evolved there. Born and raised, Ethan said. Village in the Pacific Northwest. Beautiful area, actually. Bears, cougars, wolves, the occasional wildfire. Good fishing. The first week of academy training broke 4 candidates. The second week broke 9 more. By the end of the month, Thorne had quietly revised his early assessment of the human. He had expected Ethan Cross to struggle with the speed courses. Humans were not the fastest species in the galaxy. He did not struggle. He paced himself with an almost mechanical patience, reading terrain, conserving energy, and always finishing. He had expected the human to flinch during the sensory deprivation hunts, total darkness, no technology, tracking live prey through a sealed biodome built to simulate hostile environments. He did not flinch. He moved through the dark with a quiet, careful confidence that unnerved even the Saluvian instructor who ran the exercise. How, the Saluvian asked afterward, speaking directly to Ethan while the other candidates were being debriefed. How did you track the Harvan stalker in total darkness? You have no echolocation. No thermal sense. Your olfactory range is classified as inferior. Ethan considered this. I listened to the way the air moved, he said. And I watched where the other prey animals in the dome weren't going. They knew where it was before I did. I just followed their fear. The Saluvian stared at him for a very long time. That, the Saluvian said slowly, is something I have not encountered in 40 years of teaching. The defining moment came during the Academy's infamous trial of the Ashfield, a 3-day solo survival exercise on a Class 7 hostile moon with no resupply, no extraction, and a single objective: bring back proof of kill on a Veil predator, the galaxy's 4th most dangerous tracked species, capable of sensing bioelectric fields, regenerating from non-lethal wounds, and moving faster than most starship corridors. Of the 11 candidates who entered, 9 were extracted early by emergency beacon. 1, the Gorvok, came back empty-handed but uninjured, which was considered a respectable result. Ethan Cross came back on the morning of the 3rd day, ahead of schedule, with the Veil predator's marking gland preserved in a specimen container. He had done it without triggering his emergency beacon once. Commander Zarek Thorne met him at the extraction point personally. The human looked tired in the honest way that hard work produces, not broken, just used. His jacket had 3 new tears in it. There was dried blood on his forearm from a wound he had already dressed himself, neatly, with field kit bandaging. You killed it, Thorne said. Tracked it for the first day, Ethan said. It's fast, but it hunts in a pattern. Apex predators usually do, they get comfortable. I let it think it had the advantage on day 2. He paused. It didn't. Thorne looked at the specimen container. The marking gland meant a clean, precise kill, not a desperate last-stand blow, but a targeted, intentional strike on a specific anatomical location that required significant foreknowledge of Veil biology. You studied the species before the trial, Thorne said. 3 weeks before I arrived here, Ethan confirmed. I read everything in the public academic registry. I also found 2 independent field reports from hunters who'd survived encounters. One was Saluvian. One was Krelian. I borrowed techniques from both and adjusted for what I could and couldn't do physically. He paused again. On Earth we call it reading the room. Thorne was quiet for a moment. The moon's pale light moved across them both. When I saw your file, the commander said finally, I almost recommended your application be reconsidered. A human. No lineage. No reputation. A species 11 years out of their first contact. Ethan waited. I was wrong, Thorne said. He said it simply, without theater. It was clearly not a phrase he used often, and he did not dress it up. You are not here because your world made you hard. You are here because your world made you think. That is rarer than hardness. Ethan Cross looked at the specimen container in his hand for a moment. Then he looked up at the commander with those steady, unhurried eyes. On Earth, he said quietly, we don't have the strongest claws. We don't have the best armor. We're not the fastest or the biggest or the most venomous. A small pause. We survived anyway. For a long time. Against things that should have ended us. He turned toward the shuttle. We learned to use everything else. Thorn watched the human walk away. Behind him, the hostile moon's wind moved across the gray rock. Somewhere in the distance, some other creature called out to the dark, something still alive out there, still hunting, still unaware that the most dangerous thing on this moon had already gone home. The commander looked down at his datapad. The Galactic Threat Index still glowed on the screen. Deep, burning crimson. Deathworld. He closed the file slowly. He was beginning to understand.